Thank you very much. I'm George Schloegel. I work for the Hancock County Bank. I've been around since 1899, 2 blocks up the street. And we're glad to be home tonight. Madam Speaker, Mr. Webb, members of Congress, we're grateful to you for coming. And to this audience, I would say to you, those folks are on vacation. They finished up in Washington, but instead of going home, they came here to hear our story. Gene Taylor, for your leadership, not only on this issue, but every issue that affects this country as well as our state. We're grateful for your leadership. It's good to be here and thank those folks for coming, but most of all, I want to thank you, the men and women in this audience who came out here tonight. It's hot. You've had a lot of things to do since the storm. You're all busy, but you came out here to tell your story. And those of us on the panel are here to speak for you. To say what you would say in your heart. Now, I'm particular. We've got our clothes on. But let's get serious for a few moments and wrap this up. As our visitors come in, you might ask the question, can the people of the Mississippi Gulf Coast build back? Yes, we can build back. We will build back. We would show you some demonstrations of building back where we didn't have obstacles. You rode across a brand new bridge that's been open for several months. It was totally destroyed. We have the wherewithal to build back. We have the desire to build back. That train just crossed the trestle that was open a few months after the storm because it didn't have the obstacles that men and women have today in their homes and in their businesses because of insurance. And that's fine print that we're dealing with when we bought and paid for those premiums after all that time, and then we have to explain which came first, wind or water. Well, that's been a controversy for too long. We solved it in the heartland of America. When a farmer loses their crops and loses their house, was it the lightning, was it the rain, was it the wind, or was it the flood? It doesn't matter. The policy pays. It ought to do the same on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. There are some who are asking, can we afford it? We can't afford not to have it. What happens when you are buying a policy on the front end, you don't have the emotion of looking back and seeing debris after a storm when you're totally wiped out and wondering about what tomorrow's going to bring. In that case, you're able to make an objective decision about how much you want to pay for a product. And you do it without all the emotion. That can be dealt with on the front end if we will pass this legislation. There will be some business decisions and personal decisions about how much we can afford, but at least we do it at a time when mentally we can make that decision in advance of the calamity, not after it's over with and our despair is eating our hearts out. That's important in this particular bill. And there are some who say, well, won't the industry take care of itself? No, it will not take care of itself. It has proven that it will not take care of itself. And we see how we have been left in despair, but we read daily what the profits of the insurance companies are. And that's getting the road. Many people in this room are having to evaluate whether they can afford insurance. We just built our bank back. It was built in 1900, the first two-story masonry structure in this county. We don't have insurance on that building because we couldn't buy it. And so we're without insurance at the Hancock County Bank right up here at the corner of Main Street at the beach. But because we have 150 banks, we can afford to spread that risk. A man and a lady only have one house. They cannot afford to spread the risk. The state legislature, by a unanimous vote in both houses, I think that might have been the only unanimous vote except for somebody whose birthday was being celebrated, passed model legislation for Mississippi to try to recover. We have done what we think we can do locally. We commend our members of our legislature who are here, who passed that legislation for us this year so we can get back on our feet. Now we turn to Congress to match that legislation and help us. Help us get the fine print out of the policy so that it's not wind, it's not water. Help us get back on our feet. Again, can we afford it? How much has it cost the United States in trying to help us recover when we did not have insurance? How much money has been spent? 42,000 temporary homes sent in here. If we'd have had the right kind of coverage on the front end, instead of all these slabs and debris that you still see because we're not sure what to do, you'd see things like that bridge and houses would be going back. Businesses would be going back. We'd be getting back on our feet. There's one additional obstacle that's not necessarily a part of this legislation, but it's important. 2 weeks from now, we're going to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of that storm. We still do not have flood maps. Flood maps tell us what we can rebuild. And the center of the United States, in fact the world's geospatial technology is located right here in Hancock County, and we can't even get a local flood map. That's got to be done. That's the basis for telling us how high we have to build and the kind of buildings that we have to put up. We know this insurance is going to cost us a little more money. And we know it may cost a little bit at the federal level, but we think it'll be a pittance compared to what Katrina cost us after the fact. We would say to those members of Congress, and none of them here, or else y'all wouldn't have visited if you had this opinion, but there are some members of Congress who look with a skeptical eye on this legislation. Those are smart people. If they don't like the way the bill's written, then tweak it. Put something in that they can accept. But the status quo of doing nothing is absolutely not acceptable. I'm going to close with this statement to you members of Congress and to the folks in this room, because I know that's what they would say to you. The Mississippi Gulf Coast is a good place to make a living, but it is a wonderful place to make a life. And for you ladies and gentlemen here tonight from Congress, we say to you, we don't want a handout. We just want a hand so we can get on with our lives.